Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Paul Sula, and on behalf of the Hawaii nonprofit Cannabis Charity and Education Fund, I'm here to present a program tonight that'll be held in Hilo, Hawaii, welcoming the return of our brother Roger Christie, a minister of the THC ministry who has served 4.5 years in a federal detention center awaiting trial that never happened. It didn't happen because the government agreed to finally release him for time served and also to allow him free until his appeal can be heard for any further sentencing. Roger spent all this time in jail for being denied bail based on the federal judge's determination that Roger was a threat to the Hilo community, and to return him on bail during trial would jeopardize that safety. This, of course, is not the kind of treatment a nonviolent person receives. However, this was a special treatment demonstrating the concern and the efforts by the Federal Injustice Department to further their war on drugs and to further impoverish those here in Hawaii that stand to challenge that war on drugs and the economics behind it. Period. Roger's challenge is of a religious nature, and so his appeal will be based on the spiritual uses of the cannabis plant. But more than that, tonight, Roger, who will speak, along with many other distinguished speakers, discuss the positive commercial and medical uses of the cannabis plant, which will revolutionize in many ways our society and our economic situation here in Hawaii as a stimulus to growth in many areas, as seen in the successful experiments going on now in Colorado, California, Oregon, and Washington. From these commercial uses, where Hawaii once had a $1 billion industry, it now finds itself impoverished with problems of ICE and other family issues breaking up over different concerns that previously had been more harmonious, more positive, and beneficial. It's hopeful that through the objective review of the cannabis plant, inevitably to be found benign, it will be no longer subject to prohibition.
Great, aloha. My name is Roger Christie, and I just get out of 50 months in U.S. federal prison for operating the Hawaii Cannabis THC Ministry in Hilo, Hawaii. And it's my pleasure to be here tonight because I feel like Cannabis Rip Van Winkle. I just waking up to a new reality, like I was in a strange dream for 5 years, and there's so much to be grateful for. My plan is to appeal our conviction. My wife, Cher, who is my co-defendant, and 12 other people were indicted for conspiracy to grow and possess and distribute marijuana. And my wife, Cher, and I made conditional pleas of guilty about a year ago. And we were sentenced, I was sentenced to a mandatory minimum in federal prison of 5 years. And my wife was sentenced to the maximum that the judge could give her, which is 27 months. However, she remains free until our case is heard on appeal at the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco. So my intention right now is to enjoy this evening in Hilo at the historic Palace Theater, enjoy friends, meeting and greeting some old friends and new, and having a little fun and a little party vibration since I'm fresh out of prison a few weeks ago. And I'm gonna complete my book, and my wife and I are gonna go on a speaking tour and honeymoon. And we're gonna take it as far as we can around the world. Now, in about 12 months, our case is gonna be heard at the Ninth Circuit Court. So hopefully, God willing, Spirit willing, we will win our case, overturn our convictions, get my home back that was confiscated in Hilo, get my life savings back that was confiscated, and get immunity from prosecution for the rest of our lives. Because the United States, of all places on earth, which has a First Amendment for religious freedom, deserves First Amendment protection for cannabis sacrament, the most commonly used spiritual and religious sacrament in world history. And that's about it for now. Thank you so much. We have two websites, though, thelastmarijuanatrial.com and thc-ministry.org. Hope to see you there. Aloha.
Many thanks to many people. You know who you are, who gave us love and support, especially to share, and who sent letters to me. Really, very deepest gratitude to you. I felt loved in prison. It was so interesting the day that, there's 14 of us. We call ourselves the Green 14. And, my deepest apologies to anyone else that was arrested with me. I tried to make it, if the arrest came, that it would be me. My name was the name with my Hawaii State license on everybody's ID card in the ministry. And the whole purpose of that exercise was that if any of the members of the ministry got arrested or threatened with arrest, that they would say they got their legitimacy through Roger Christie and his ordainment and his license from the state of Hawaii. Now, you've heard the term separation of church and state. Churches operate under what we call a higher authority. We operate under the authority of spirit. God, goddess, nature, whatever you want to call it. We're supposed to be separate from the government as long as we're respectful, and do our ministry sacraments and practices in private. So we were surprised to get arrested. Imagine this, years ago, I was ordained as a minister in the religion of Jesus Church, and I was very, very happy to have that distinction. And then immediately I applied to the state of Hawaii for a license to marry people. And on that license application, I put very clearly that my denomination or sect was Cannabis Sacrament. And the state called me and they said they had a problem with my application. And I thought, I'll bet you do. And they said, you didn't put your title on here. And I said, wow, really, is that all? And she goes, yeah, that's all. And I said, I don't prefer to have a title at this point in time. To some people, I'm a reverend or a pastor, and to other people, I'm not. So I'm going to let people decide for themselves. So the state of Hawaii granted me my license. And soon thereafter, now this is June of 2000, and it was the same week that Governor Cayetano signed the medical marijuana law in the state of Hawaii. So that was a big week for cannabis liberation. I thought, wow, the state of Hawaii is honoring the compassionate use of marijuana for sick people and people in pain, and they're also honoring my license. And that license is good for life. It still exists. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many of you have followed our case, to what degree. Our case is ongoing. Our case is ongoing. As you just heard, Cher is still threatened with 27 months. She was sentenced to the maximum. And I was sentenced to what's called the mandatory minimum, which was 5 years. So I can hardly believe it. To be here tonight in this beautiful theater, which I really treasure. This is such an architectural gem. And so great to be back here. Anyway, I'd like to say that, the first time I smoked marijuana was 1968. A friend of mine from college turned me on to some Colombian Gold. And the very first time I smoked it, I kid you not, it was like it spoke to me. I was a binge drinking teenager because I'm Irish mostly, and the Irish family disease is alcoholism. And it's a happy and a sad thing, right? And I watched my beautiful grandfather become an alcoholic, and then my beautiful father become an alcoholic. And it's very sad. They didn't come back from that. And I felt myself just drawn that way. So when I had my first puff of marijuana in August of 1968 in Miami, Florida, through my good college friend Bill Walters, it was as if the smoke said, let's be friends. maybe you've had a similar experience. You know, they say sometimes people don't get high the first time. I got high the first time, loved it, great stuff. Oh my God, put down the alcohol. What a relief to myself and to my family that I didn't continue on with that alcoholic binge drinking thing. So I have a respectful relationship with alcohol now and can take it or leave it. I enjoy a Guinness draft now and then. And so that was my first experience, 1968. I continued on using it on a weekly basis, not even a daily basis. I went on to become licensed as a commercial pilot, and I graduated 2 years of college, got an associate's degree. Anyway, I make annual visits and say, how am I doing? You know, is it okay? Any complaints about the ministry? Are we good to go? And they said, you're good to go and everything. So this went on for 10 years. So, okay, I was surprised when we got arrested. I really was. I'm still surprised. And the case is ongoing. And I'm so sorry that there was any pain and suffering or lack of cannabis or sacrament for people. The medical marijuana people were harmed in any way because of my activities. I'm so sorry. I apologize to you if I personally did something that affected your life in a negative way. You know, as a minister and just as a spiritually minded person, I know there's a power for good in the universe. There's a power for good. And it's available to us every second of every day. And yeah, and we can have a positive thought and a positive word and do positive actions whenever we want. We have free will. Yay! Thank God! It's such a beautiful thing, free will. And free will, what's that come from? The ability to choose. Okay? We need the freedom to choose. What gives us the freedom to choose? I think our consciousness, okay? Our mental awakeness. Our spirituality gives us that freedom of choice. That's why mind-expanding substances and mind consciousness-raising experiences are so crucial. We gotta have them. We crave them. Why is freedom so important? Because we don't have it. We don't have all of it. The default system on this planet, I'm sure you've noticed, is poverty, disease, pain, and death. You sit there long enough, you're gonna go away. Okay? It takes a lot of activity and phone calls and work and coordination to stay alive and to stay happy and to be well dressed and have a shower and be well fed. It's not that easy.
Aloha, my name is Rev Christie. My husband is Roger Christie. We have been on this journey on cannabis to free the beautiful plant. And we're here tonight. My husband is a welcome home gathering here. I haven't seen him for over 3 years. In the last 4.5 years, I've seen him 5 times. He's been held without bail 8 times. You know, it's so wonderful to have a man that is such a positive force in our community. And so we really want to celebrate that tonight. We also, the thing that I want to really stress is I ran for mayor a couple years ago on the ticket, because my husband couldn't run, they said, is that people need to vote and they need to get out there. And so please, cannabis people, get out and vote. If you think you're a felon and you can't vote, you should ask, because every state is different. And if you live in Hawaii, you can vote. You just need to either ask your probation officer or follow the rules. That's how we're going to win this war on drugs, for you to empower yourself to be part of the solution. So, we're appealing for the courts for the First Amendment rights. I'm still up for 27 months in federal prison. We're asking for your donation for us to win this right for everybody. And so asking if you would send some donation to our P.O. Box in Pahoa, 1643 Pahoa, Hawaii, 96778, and let us all have a victory to free the plant, liberate the cannabis plant, the tree of life that we all believe in, that knows that's going to heal the nations. Aloha. Mahalo.